Okay, we're back with the Excel exercise, my first spreadsheet for August 1st, 2011. In the last video, basically it ended with the formulas. So I'm going to start again with the formulas. And I know the last video included the formula for the total income. So the total income that we did, just as an overview, we simply click the equal sign, then we click cell B3. Then on the keyboard we said plus, so we pressed the plus sign, and then we click B4, and finally we hit enter, so we get the right answer. In total expenses, that one I'm going to do again. Total expenses, we said that we could have done it either by clicking one cell at a time and putting plus in between, but that because there's so many numbers, it's better to do it with the auto sum or just the sum function. And we said that we can't just go by whatever the Excel program gives you. You have to look at the formula and see if you're satisfied with it. We're not, because all we want is the expenses. We don't want to add the income to the expenses because that wouldn't be correct. So the best way to correct this is to click on B6 and drag your mouse down all the way to B20 and then enter. Now you have your total expenses. That's better. Now for the difference between income and expenses, you do need to put the equal sign to create a formula. Remember, that's how Excel knows that you want to do a formula. You put the equal sign. And now Excel is just waiting. Okay, what are you going to do? Okay, the formula says that you have to figure out how much money is left in your bank or in your pocketbook, in your pocket, in your purse, when you spend all this money, and this is what you earned. So you do the money that you earned first, which is B5. So I click B5 minus the money I spent, which is my total expenses, which is B21. Now I hit it, I press enter, and I get the difference between the two. So this is how much money I have left at the end of the month according to my budget. This is how much income I made. This is the money I earned. These are all my expenses. All my expenses total this. When I subtract what I spent from what I earned, this is what's left in my pocketbook. So that is basically what you do with formulas. Now, once you're done with the formulas and you check and you double check that everything is okay, then you can go back and say, okay, how do I make this look a little prettier? Okay, and you go, okay, let's see. Maybe I want this title to be with bigger letters. So I can go here and make it bigger, nice and big. I can make it bold, like in Word. I can make it a different color. Okay. I can give it its style. I'm not sure why it has those names, bad, neutral, good, but that's what they're called. So you can say yellow, you can say green. Okay, so let's say green. Now, notice that I have all of my first row highlighted. If I give it a style now for all of the row, the whole row becomes green. We don't want to do that. Because if we do that and you print, it's going to print pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of blank pages that only have a green line at the top. We don't want that. So I just click the only place where I want the style, and that makes it with a green background. Okay, I can do the same thing. I can make this row a little bigger. I can make the letters a little bigger. Maybe 14. I can make it bold. And then I say, wait a minute, July, August, what's here? September? That doesn't mean anything, September. I think it's supposed to be September. October, oh, that's missing part of the O. November, oh, that should be November. December, that should be December. But I want all of them to look the same size. So I highlight all of them by clicking on top and then dragging my mouse. So let's do that again. I want to highlight this column and this and this and this and this and this. So I click on the first one I want to highlight. When my mouse changes to an arrow looking down, I click and then drag up to the last column that I want to highlight. And then I go to whichever line separates the columns, whether it's between the C and the D and the E, the E and the F, it doesn't matter, any of them. And I say, okay, I'm going to click here, and you see that the width comes up is 8.43. I want to make it wider. So I click and drag. See, okay, I don't know, let's see if that's good enough. Oh, almost. Let me do it again, a little wider. Okay, now it's good because now everything fits. September, October, November, December, everything fits, everything looks good. And then I go here, say, okay, my total income, maybe I want to make my total income bold too. Maybe I want to make my total expenses bold. Maybe I want to make my difference between income and expenses bold. Okay. And then I say, well, you know what else? I probably should have either the dollar sign or the comma that separates the 4 from the 0 here in 4,000, because that's how we write. So you click comma here, and you say, oh, I don't want decimal point, so I get rid of the decimal point by going to decrease decimal right here. See how it's starting to look nicer now? Now it looks like a 4,000 with a comma, 4,600 with a comma, 1,200 with a comma, 4,034 with a comma. That looks better. Okay. And then when I'm going to print this, I also don't want to have to go with my eyes and a pencil or a pen or a ruler or a piece of paper to see what goes with work, what goes with overtime, what goes with total income. So I want borders. So maybe I should highlight this whole thing, and I start with the first cell or the first row that I want to highlight, shift, and go to the last one, which is H22. Everything gets highlighted. I go to the home tab. Under the home tab, I go to font, I go borders, and I give it borders all around, right here, all borders. So now everything has a border. Okay. Now I'm going to say, okay, if I print this, is it going to print all in one page? Let me check. What do? I do print preview. We've learned that in Word, print preview. Oh my God, 2 pages. I don't like that. So I can do 2 things. Okay, and now I get the end of my first page, and this goes on my second page. These 2 columns are on my second page now, and I can see by this little line here that that's the end of my first line. So I can say, okay, well, I know what I can do. I can just change the orientation. I go to page layout, I change the orientation to landscape. Now I go to page preview again, and look at that. Doesn't it look nicer now? On 1 page only. Okay, and I say, well, there's a lot of blank space here, so maybe I'll make my rows a little wider. Let's try that. So I highlight my rows from 3 all the way to maybe 21, because those are the ones that are less wide. And I say, let me make it a little wider, maybe as wide as number 15. So maybe I'll go to number, I don't know, there. Oh, I think I went over 1 page, so that's too wide. So let me try 27. Oh, I think I still went over 1 page. I know because I'm used to looking at Excel that I did, but if you go in page layout, I know that I'm missing 1 page. It's now the next page. I don't want that. I said, okay, I'll make this even smaller. Okay, still in 2 pages, so maybe I'll make this smaller. Maybe I'll make this a little smaller. Let's see if I have it on 1 page. No, it's still 2 pages. So this is what I tell you that you do a few times to try to get correct. So maybe I'll make this 2 smaller, and then I'll make all of these smaller. And I think I'm almost there. Okay, so I'm in 1 page now, except that this one I can't see everything, so this one I have to make a little wider. Okay, so now let me take a look. All right, 1 page occupies almost the whole page. It looks much better. Okay, and then you can say, you know what, the teacher told me to do right align, but I don't like right align. I think I'm going to do center align because I think that looks better. Good. Okay, and so, you know, the teacher didn't say anything about this, but this one has a bottom alignment. I think I want a center aligned here. So I put it in the center. So now it looks like a really nice document, which is what you're supposed to do when you have the skills that you have learned so far. You do what you're supposed to do, and then you go back and make it look pretty. Now that I'm satisfied that it looks pretty, I can save it. And the assignment for today is done. Good luck and keep enjoying your classes.